Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing right now.
Hey YouTube, I'm Chris Pirillo, and this is your Geek Out for Monday, June 11th, 2012. Very happy to once again say that we are sponsored by GoToAssist from Citrix. You can take control of your IT world from one simple cloud-based platform, and GoToAssist proactive alerting allows you to fix small issues before they become big problems. For a free 30-day trial, visit GoToAssist.com, click the Try It Free button, and use the promo code Pirillo. Unless you're living under a rock, if you have any amount of geek flowing through your veins, you know that WWDC is happening right now in San Francisco, and we streamed the announcements earlier in this very YouTube channel, and many of you tuned in for that. Very grateful for it. We ended up publishing an article about the new Retina display being produced with the next generation MacBook Pro, the 15-inch MacBook Pro. It's a big deal. In the middle of the keynote presentation, even though I've only seen photos of it, am ready to sell my current generation MacBook Pros to buy a new MacBook Pro. And it doesn't mean that the current MacBook Pros, or at least the ones that were current until today, are any less good than they were before today's announcements. It's just that, wow, a Retina display on a laptop. Not only is it a high resolution, but it's super, super, super sharp, which is kind of thrilling. And if you can see the difference between a classic iPad and a new iPad, then you're likely going to be able to see the difference between a new MacBook screen and an old MacBook screen. Screen? The hell's a screen? It's a pretty cool announcement. But that doesn't mean we forgot about you other geeks. There's another article. Is the Samsung Galaxy S3 just another Android phone? May 3rd, 2012, the Galaxy S3 was finally announced, and many of you already knew that. It's a pretty decent Android device with a Super AMOLED technology fueling the screen, 1280 by 720 resolution, and of course a screen size of 4.8 inches. It seems that if you're going to buy an Android device, you should go with one that's available today and that's running the latest version of the Android platform. It's not really an operating system so much as it is a platform upon which things can be built. You know, it's a little disappointing to find out that most Android users are still running an operating system that's a few years old. Maybe that'll change. Hopefully that'll change. I'm glad to see that Samsung's continuing with a very popular Galaxy line. I had a Galaxy at one point in time, and it was one of the better Android experiences that I had. But is the Galaxy S3 just another Android device? Making babies and religion. Is that controversial? Okay. You can't be online for much longer than a day before walking into some political or religious turmoil. I've been guilty of certainly engaging people who have opinions that are quite opposite of mine, and sometimes that could be good. I mean, I love sharing my opinions with people, and sometimes I share too many of my opinions, and people get offended. But now we have access to so much data. Could it really be that people don't want to believe the data that's in front of them? Okay, just like a couple of seconds ago, I said that most Android users, by statistics, are not running Ice Cream Sandwich, which is the latest version of the Android platform. And worse yet, Google's getting ready to announce the next version of the Android platform, and people still aren't using the version that's currently the latest. That's the data. I'm not making this stuff up. That's not controversy, it's information. Now, of course, if you want to spin those numbers to point your direction, hey, it's completely on your shoulders. But when it comes to stepping into controversy online, it seems that people are very quick to call BS. Open Garden surrounds devices with internet access. All right, so it looks like Open Garden's an application that assists those who need access to the internet through various electronic devices. It's different from other Wi-Fi tethering applications because it's also a mesh network app. The biggest drawback, though, is that in order for the app to function, you need to have Bluetooth active on all your devices. And again, I'd be shocked if many of you didn't already have Bluetooth activated on all your devices. How to view RAW files in Windows 7. RAW files, we all know, are images that are taken on certain digital cameras that contain all the information as it was captured at the moment the camera went snap, or whatever sound effect the camera made. It's not compressed like a JPEG, it's raw, meaning you can tweak different levels of that image independent of one another in your photo imaging application, whichever platform you decide to use. And if you're having issues viewing raw files on Windows 7, we've got some suggestions for you. What the heck is a macro anyways? I use macros all the time. It's essentially a series of characters and functions that can be triggered by some other kind of gesture. So, for instance, if I want to insert a signature file on my computer, I type in SSIG. and then I hit space. I have a program that automatically stretches that SSIG text into a full signature file so that I don't have to repeat myself over and over and over and over and over again. Macros were designed to save you time. And if you are not yet using macros, what are you waiting for? So there's a flurry of news today, and most of it, of course, is surrounding Apple, but we wanted to make sure we gave time to other platforms today beyond those that Apple is providing, including the forthcoming Mountain Lion operating system to replace Lion. The big deal with Mountain Lion is that it's going to sew in more of your digital lifestyle. You'll be able to connect to your data from anywhere using iCloud services. If you already use iOS devices like an iPad, an iPod Touch, or an iPhone, then a Mountain Lion upgrade is in the cards. And here's the kicker. It's only going to be a $20 upgrade, not just for one of your Macs, for all of your Macs. So take that, Microsoft. Wouldn't you love to have one license, one upgrade cost for all of your Windows machines instead of having to buy individual ones? You know, Microsoft seems to be living in the past with the licensing schemes. I can't imagine, even if you loved Windows, that you would argue against Microsoft offering Windows 8 with the forthcoming operating system from Microsoft for anything more than $20. Apple also announced some updates with iOS 6, which is also slated to be released this fall. The beta is currently available today for developers to download and, of course, develop against. Siri updates, kind of interesting. They've also got something that will allow you to more easily organize all of those cards that you carry around. So affinity cards for stores, gift cards potentially, anything that could be used on a scanner. There's now going to be an application that will help you manage them. Of course, the big news with iOS 6 is not only is it going to be available all the way back to the iPhone 3GS, but it's going to be free. Of course, that's not really the announcement. They're replacing Google Maps, and what they're using to replace it is amazing. If you want to take a look at what's coming down the pike with iOS 6 Maps, including turn-by-turn navigation as powered by TomTom, take a look at C3 Technologies. Go ahead, type that into a YouTube search box, look for it right now, and you will be astounded. Or if you want, go ahead and look at the keynote video that's already been uploaded to Apple's website to see how amazing the 3D maps on iOS 6 are going to be. Something that wasn't announced was that the Mac Pro got very minor updates, really a bump in processor speed, and the technology is like 2 years old. I think Apple's getting ready to kill the Mac Pro, which is kind of disappointing. That would mean that I'm not going to be upgrading my Mac Pro, because why would I spend a lot more money on getting a very small upgrade? I'm inclined to get a new MacBook Pro because they're really cramming a whole bunch of new hardware into it, and I do use my MacBook Pro regularly. In fact, I'm recording this video onto my MacBook Pro, the one that I use for video processing, so, I wonder, do I feel good or bad about this? Apple's going to enable photo stream sharing and also allow your friends to comment on those photos, which is kind of interesting. Now you can subscribe to my photo stream if I make it public. And I don't know if I will because I have a lot of junk in my photo stream. I take so many pictures just to get the right one that my photo stream tends to be cluttered with a whole bunch of stuff that I just don't care about sharing. Siri is officially coming to the iPad in iOS 6. Good news. There's also a refreshed MacBook Air with Ivy Bridge processors and USB 3.0 shipping today, starting at $999. And now if you want an entry-level Mac, I would say get that one, unless you want the Mac Mini and you want to spend less money. But there's just something so nice about carrying around something powerful and lightweight. Something not covered in the keynote is a new iPad smart case. So instead of the smart cover, the flap that goes over the top, the case now wraps around the entire iPad, pretty much protecting the whole thing. And it looks pretty cool. You know, the biggest shock from today was we didn't really get any announcements about Apple TV. That's kind of disappointing. I was hoping to hear about an SDK. Seeing apps on an Apple TV, that's the gateway drug to everything else that Apple has to offer. Amazon's opening their App Store internationally this summer. Will the fire follow? It's a good question posed by All Things D. TV content rating system set to expand to the web. Got time for a few questions here. Bama Hut asked, and I don't know where he asked it, Chris, do you think businesses are going to upgrade to Windows 8, or are they going to pass on it and wait for the next version of Windows? I would be shocked if they waited around for Windows altogether. I think businesses are going to stick with what they have, and many of those businesses are still running like Windows 2000. I shouldn't laugh. I mean, it's certainly stable and solid, and they've already paid for it, and it's not really hurting them any. So why would they upgrade? Randy on LockerGnome.net asked, how could I make a virtual tour of a building? Have you thought about downloading Google Sketchup? It's free, and you can move elements around and place things, and you can even export those items. It's pretty easy. You could also use Blender, which is open source, and as long as you're skilled at making things in 3 dimensions, then you shouldn't have a problem. You could also use Second Life, I suppose. Guess it does still have some kind of use. Kevin on LockerGnome.net asked, are Gunnar Optics computer glasses just hype or worth it, and would some tinted glasses just be the same? I really don't know. I've never worn a pair of Gunnars, but I am hoping to get a hold of prescription lenses in the Gunnar Optics to see if it really does make a difference. Stay tuned. I like Windows. I like Apple. I can like both! Well, see you later. I also like Google.